I want to tell you a story from when I was actually in my last year in the Royal Marines. By this point, I was a fairly senior Marine within our troop, and we were getting influxes regularly of new Marines coming in after passing training. Now, typically, these are going to be the fittest Marines you get in your troop because they've just been smashed for 8-9 months doing super intense, super regular, super constant physical training. So they come in and typically they're right at the top of the pile when it comes to physical training. There was one individual, however, who joined our troop, and after a period of months, it became quite clear that he was actually well in the bottom third. There were physical tests and annual tests that he had to complete, push-ups, basic stuff, runs, bleep tests, failing all of them. And as an outsider, I was effectively his peer, I was pretty confused. I was like, well, you've just spent X amount of time at a training base to get you to the standard. You've now had a bit of a break doing some driver training, and now you come back and this is the state, and I was a bit confused. Anyway, obviously the remainder of our troop were also confused, so we questioned him at some point as far as what's going on, and it became clear that he was only doing the mandatory physical training, which was about twice a week, that we were putting on, and nothing else. The rest of the time he was just hiding in his room doing nothing. Now, why do I tell you this? Well, based on that specific individual and thinking back through my career, this was actually a very, very common theme. Not usually with Marines, but with most other service personnel. They would do the minimum. They would go and show up to the troop phys and the squadron PT and the scheduled stuff they had to do because of work. And the rest of the time, they would think, oh, well, that's enough. I've done it now. And this specific individual said to one of our corporals, oh, well, I've passed training now. I don't need to do any cardio. I don't need to run anymore because I've passed my initial training. This thing here, this green beret, which is obviously what you search for and work for and do all that training for initially, isn't just earned and then you drop off a cliff. You have to literally earn it every day. You earn that standard every single day. And physical fitness is the best example of this, because if you don't do it on a consistent enough basis, you lose the ability. If you don't strength train, your muscles will atrophy and you will not be strong. If you don't run and challenge your cardiovascular system, you will become unfit. And so it's a rent you literally pay every single day. So to get to the standard is one thing. To then maintain the standard is the next question. So with that being said, I'm going to give you 3 baseline standards in this video that you should be able to hit non-negotiably every single week. If you can hit these, then you will likely prevent yourself becoming an example of the story I just told, because all it takes is a minimum standard for you to hit. That is what consistency is. It's about having a maximum and a minimum standard. It's not about going all in or all out, because that doesn't work. Being 7 days a week, 100% for 3 weeks, and then having 3 weeks off is not the definition of consistency, and is not going to get you closer to where you want to be. Having a maximum and a minimum standard is what's going to maintain that level of consistency. So your minimum standard should be as follows. And this is for someone who wants to actually excel. And that's who my channel's for, by the way. If you're just there and you're thinking, oh, well, I don't mind actually being a bit of a sack, and I don't mind being bottom third, and I don't mind, not fulfilling my potential, I don't mind not feeling confident, then really this isn't for you, and you can leave the video if you like. If that's not you, and you are someone who thinks you're meant for more, you have more potential, more to give, then what I'm about to tell you should resonate. We'll get back to the video in a second, and if you're new around here, you can skip this. But if you've been watching my content for a while now, and you've gotten the value, you've implemented things into your training that have actually moved you forward and made you progress, then I've got a question for you. What are you still doing? Scrolling free content, consuming the free stuff on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, whatever it may be, when deep down you know that getting inside a one-to-one coaching program, working closely with myself and my team towards your goals, would be the real answer to progress. There is a link below this video. If you click it, you can book in for a private call with myself. We'll go through your challenges, what's holding you back, and make you a plan to move you forwards. If you're someone who's been watching my channel for a while, I hope to see you on a call. Let's get back to the video. So 3 things, we're gonna break them down into a mobility protocol, a strength standard, and a level of aerobic fitness. So for mobility, as a non-negotiable, 10 to 15 minutes every single evening. There's multiple benefits to this. Number 1 is it's gonna help you wind down from the day and put you in a good state to sleep, and it's actually gonna improve your quality of sleep. But the second is, if we are doing really random fitness throughout the week with our squadron and our troop and our PT, scheduled sessions are pretty random, then we need a process and a protocol to bring ourselves back to a good level of kind of recovery. And having a focus around mobility is something that can help that. So it's going to help the body feel consistently good week to week and day to day. Because often what you'll do is you'll get smashed one day, you might do a lower body session, or you might do a weighted ruck march, and then you might show up the next day and you don't want to do anything because you're really stiff, really sore. So this first thing is about priming the body to be in a good state to remove a bit of the friction involved in getting sessions done and getting your own training in. So that's the first thing. Non-negotiable, 10, 15 minutes every single night while you're watching TV, while you're relaxing, doing mobility. And you can focus it around wherever you want to focus it. You can focus it around your hips, your hamstrings, your glutes. YouTube, the thing you're on right now, is pretty good for just typing in hamstring mobility flow, 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. And you can just follow it along. That's number one. Number two, we're going to look at aerobic fitness. We're going to shoot for 2 runs every single week, and they're going to serve 2 different purposes, so that whatever else you do, and speaking to people in the services, they're going to have physical jobs and things that they have to, and commitments they have to meet, etc. So these are going to be 2 things that you can hit regardless. One long run, and that can be on the weekend. You can have one long, easy exposure. So if you don't want to run, you can use the bike, you can do whatever, but it needs to be a significant amount of time, 45 to 90 minutes, depending on your level of zone 2 or aerobic work. So that means you can do the exercise, you can do the work whilst you're in control, whilst you're having a conversation, whilst you're able to speak, to talk, and you're not too fatigued. So that's your first thing. One exposure of zone 2 for 45 to 90 minutes a week. Not too much to ask, I'm sure. So we can have that at the weekend. That can just be sitting on a bike, can be going on the stair stepper, can be running, whatever you want to do. Number 2 is a harder, faster exposure. So obviously we've taken care a little bit of our aerobic side. We're now going to go anaerobic and faster, and actually going to work a little bit on this. This doesn't need to be any more than half an hour all in of work, but it needs to be hard. And we can measure quote unquote hard in multiple different ways. We can either do heart rate and make sure we're above sort of 160, 165, or we can do pace. And if you know your 5K pace, then you can make sure that you're running faster than that pace to make sure it's actually a relatively hard effort for yourself. Now, what these sessions could look like are 10 by 400 meters, 5 by 800 meters. You can do a Norwegian 4x4 where you run for 4 minutes really hard and have 3 minutes off, etc., etc. Whatever you want to do to push the boundaries, push the limits, and push the body. So that's number 2. You have 2 aerobic exposures every single week, and we're splitting it between a longer, easier effort and a harder effort. Number 3, it's going to be 2 full body sessions each and every week. So as a minimum standard, when life's really busy and work's really busy, when you don't have any time to follow a specific program, when you can't get 6 sessions in a week, fall back 2 sessions full body in the week. Well, what's this going to do? Number 1, it's going to maintain a level of strength and muscle mass that you have. Number 2, it's going to make sure we're well-rounded and not focused on one specific thing and not creating weaknesses and creating bias. Because think about it, if you're in a week where you're squeezed and you can't do so many sessions, then you just do a low body session. And then the next week happens again, you just do a low body session. Well, then the upper body is going to start to become weak, and there's going to be an imbalance there. So 2 full body sessions works really well. The first one can be focused on the front side of the body, make it really simple. So looking at the quads, so think about everything that's at the front side. Quads, chest, so any pushing exercises, shoulders, even core. Okay, we can look at that as your focus for number 1, for session number 1. That's going to be it. We're going to look at maybe a squat variation, maybe a leg extension for the quads. We're going to look at a bench press, a shoulder press, and maybe some tricep. Job done for session 1. Session 2 is going to look at the back half of the body. So we're going to look at obviously the upper back, mid back, so pull-ups, rows, all that kind of stuff. We can look at the glutes and hamstrings, hip thrusts, RDLs, you choose, and we can look at the calves as well to bring everything together. So from that, just having those 3 things in place, so we've got some mobility going on every night, 10, 15 minutes. We've got 2 strength sessions in the week, and we've got 2 aerobic or cardio sessions, let's say, in the week. That alone is going to put us in a really good space. If you did that on the weeks where everything was absolutely manic, then you're going to put yourself in a really good space. And you're actually not going to fall down in your ability too far, because that's what happens is people go all in or all out. Well, this protocol is going to help you stay on a level playing field for the whole time. And the key point is not end up like my colleague was all those years ago when he just passed training. He thought, good enough, I'm going to take my foot all the way off the gas. If he'd have had something like this, where he'd had a minimum standard, he'd have maintained, this is the key thing, his ability from training. So his ability from training was really good, and then he went away and just fell off the cliff. Well, if he'd have had this process in place, not only would he be passing these physical tests, he would also be just excelling. So it's about having something in place that we can fall back on. That's what consistency is. That's the key point. So hopefully that's helpful. If you want to work with myself and the team, if you feel like this is overwhelming, you want someone else to implement this, then click the link below this video. You can work with us. Process is super simple. We only take on 20 clients every single month. So March intake is filling up. but hit that link and you'll be able to see our availability for calls. So I expect you to book in if you recognize that you need some help with this. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.